Good morning, grinders. Welcome to DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender Ed, Blender HD. If you want to follow me there on Twitter, and it's Thursday, March 3rd, for another the NBA. Still got NBA, MLB. When is that going to come back? Maybe never. Who knows? We'll have to see. They canceled the first two series of the Major League Baseball season, so we're going to be playing late season NBA for a while now. But as you've seen this past week, I'm still recovering from COVID. So my voice is slowly coming back. It's slowly coming back. So I'm going to need some help in the YouTube chat. As always, give me those thumbs ups on your way in the door. Hit that like button. Helps us out. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Hit anything you want on the screen. Hit anything you'd like. Good morning, Suki Singh, Matt Mears, Trey, another Discord member, another 100K, easy peasy. Yes. So someone in our RotoGrinders Discord, long time member, Max Hankin. Yeah, he's been around for a while. Hit the fadeaway yesterday on Draftkings with I didn't play yesterday. I mean, I was following some stuff, but I didn't play. But it was kind of the chalk. A lot of the chalk failed. We had two overtime games. The Pacers Magic game went to overtime. The Rockets Jazz game went into overtime. Even though the Rockets were like 17-point underdogs or something, they went into overtime. So obviously, if you get a bunch of these overtime players, right? Malcolm Brogdon, 8% owned, 65 points. Wendell Carter put up a game, not a flame emoji, but Kevin Porter at 2%, 43 points. Isaiah Roby played a ton for the Thunder. He got 51 points for 4,400. But also Poku. I mean 4,100, 35 points. So Trey Lyles was chalky, and he played like 20 minutes and barely did anything. So he got like 11 points, but he was still towards the top. I think some top lineups still had Trey Lyles in it. We could take a look. What was the first Trey Lyles lineup? Gabe Vincent did well. Wasn't in the winning lineup. You didn't really need him. I mean, as long as you had kind of the low-owned, high-scoring guys, you really didn't need that. Let's see. Can we find the first lineup that does have Trey Lyles? So he did appear. I mean, if we take a look here, just under exposures, Trey Lyles still appeared 33% of top 1% lineups. Same for Cameron Payne. It's not like he got like 6x or something for 4,300. He was still 52% owned. I saw on Twitter that the coach said that he was only going to be playing in like 5-minute bursts or something. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm assuming his projection must have went down after that news, but he still ended up at 52% owned. I understand Cameron Johnson. I mean, when you have no Booker there and Paul's out also, obviously there's going to be a lot of usage to go around. But let's take a look at the leaderboard. Where's the first Trey Lyles lineup? Let's see. No, there got to be something up here, right? Trey Lyles. I mean, he was mega owned. Let's see. Oh, here we go. 14th place. Right. Trey Lyles, 62% owned, 11 points. Right. there were a lot of people. Look, R.J. Barrett, Tyler Hero. There were a lot of guys in that single-digit percentage owned that had great games. Terry Rozier, 2% owned. This is one of those slates where the chalk failing gave you a lot more options, a lot more ways to win. Okay, that's typically what happens when a lot of the chalk fails, because we could see here Lyles failed, Payne you didn't need, Pope you'd probably rather have, Cameron Johnson you'd probably rather have, but I mean, he didn't put up a nuclear score, right? Ayton pretty much failed for a win. Harden you didn't need at 11-2. Gabe Vincent did well. Jokic failed at 12-4. Bridges, I mean, the Suns game was just out of control, so he didn't see the end of the game. CJ McCollum apparently was chalky at 9,000. 40 points ain't going to cut it for 9,000. Mitchell got there, right? De'Aaron Fox didn't. Ingram did okay. I mean, he did fine. Rudy Gobert. I mean, now we're getting into like 14%, 12% ownership. Just a lot of stuff. Getting the right people in here. But I mean, Elijah Hughes apparently was a play yesterday, 8%. Was there a reason for that? Did he start for Portland? LaMelo Ball, and what happened there? Did he get injured? 11.5 points. Butler, 16 points. Kevin Love, nothing. No, there were some landmines, some in this range. But if we see here, you got, hey, you get 2 overtime games. You get 5 players out of your 8 players in overtime games. You're probably going to do well. We have Osimo underneath here, right, with Cameron Payne, Mo Bamba. He did well for 4,900. So this is a good lineup also. Right, Max Hank can just beat him out by a couple of points. Underneath here, right, Giannis wasn't needed. Seemed like the high-priced guys you didn't need. There were a lot of ways to win yesterday, and Max with the 100K, his biggest win. He's been playing for a while. But that's what I'd say about DFS. If you're a GPP player in DFS, it's all about it's. I think the 2 most important things, the two hardest, if you want to call it the hardest things. I talked about this in the RotoGrinders Discord the other day. The 2 hardest things about being a DFS player, especially if you're just playing GPPs, is 1, managing your bankroll. Okay, managing your bankroll, because the goal in GPPs are these types of days. And your goal is to have 1 of these types of days a year. That's it. Maybe 2, right? Maybe not 2 firsts. Let's get somewhere close to the top 5, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. A year. That's it. A year. Okay? You live for that. So it's about managing your bankroll so you could survive to see these days. You could play well every single day and lose 90+% of the time, right? That's normal. But you live for hopefully the other 10% of the time, maybe 1% of that time, you're in line for a big payday. So surviving long enough, playing well, surviving long enough to get these binks is the name of the game in DFS GPPs. So you could go long periods of time just losing, right? Not losing all your money every slate, but minus 20%, minus 30%, some minus 90s. Sometimes you make a little, plus 5%, something like that on a bunch of entries, right? I think he had 48, 40, 41 entries, right? Like I don't play 150 every slate or anything. But you're gonna put in 41 entries times 15 is what? $615. A lot of days you're gonna get back like 485, right? Or 360, something like that. All right, maybe 722. Oh, you made a little bit of money. That's gonna be most days. You're gonna be fluctuating like that. But if you're not patient, if you're not studying every day and playing well and being patient and not going, okay, well, I gotta up my volume to make up for losing. right? Chasing your losses, you're going to put yourself in a bad position. No, you want to manage your bankroll so you could live to see these days. The second hardest thing is the mental side of grinding every single day, knowing that, you're going to play 300 plus days a year, right? Different sports, right? NBA, MLB, NFL. Maybe you're playing the late slates, especially NBA, where there's post-lock stuff to do. You always got to be around the lineups, and you're going to lose like 90% of the time. So a lot of days you're going to be like, I put in 3 hours of work, right, for late swaps and whatever. You paid attention to it, and you're losing money. And just that day after day after day, and you get tired sometimes. Sometimes you should take a day off, right? So if you're playing every single day, multiple sports, you get burned out, right? You try to play well, you just like you keep on playing. It's not about a frustration factor about not winning, just a matter of let's just mental burnout, just every single day doing the same process, same thing. Especially when we get to the dog days of summer with baseball, when August comes around, assuming this baseball season starts, right? Obviously. And then you've been playing MLB like every day, it's May, it's June, it's July, and now it's August. It's like NFL's coming back. It's like MLB, just like, okay, check the starting lineups, make your stacks, change your pitchers, all that type of stuff. Gets very monotonous. So being able to be focused on a day in and day out basis, that's tough also. And then living long enough to get the binks. You're living for like 2 or 3 days a year. That's it. Even if you're playing well. So someone like Max is someone that I've talked to probably for a bunch of times the past few years. And you go on downswings, you're like, should I just quit? Right? I've lost 40% of my bankroll. Like, those are downswings. But you play well and live long enough to get these big upswing spikes. And that's what happened. Jupocalypse says in the chat, 1, build good lineups. 2, survive until the big. Yeah, there you go. Right? Rupster says, the great thing about NBA DFS is that you don't bleed as much as other sports. Not necessarily. It all depends on how diversified you are. Some people, if you don't mind bigger swings and you're playing much more exploitatively, like sometimes the swings will be big. Sometimes you're going to bleed more. It depends on how diversified you are. Like in NBA, I mean, it's a much more projectable sport. So I mean, if you're sticking a lot with the projections, you're rarely, even if you're playing 50 lineups into like the fadeaway or something like that, it's very rare that it's quite rare that you lose more than half your. Today on FanDuel, they got a cheapo 150, a $3.33 one. I'm gonna play that ticket, right? If I can play 150 for under $500, I'm gonna play it. I know there's like 176,000 entries or something like that, but why not? Whenever DraftKings and FanDuel run the cheapo 150s, typically I play. Because also, with the reason why I like playing the really large field stuff like that with the cheapo entries, like when DraftKings does like the micro millions, right? They'll do a $5, 150 max. Even though there's a lot more entries, the amount of 150 max type of players, and typically players that enter 150 lineups are good players. Typically, right? Well, at least ones that are around a while. You're not going to be around that long if you're a bad player entering 150 lineups every day. You're not going to be around. But 3 months down the road, we're not going to see you, right? You're going to be broke. The larger the field is, the number of people that enter 150 typically remain around the same. So there will be more lineups from bad players. Okay, so if you in a normal contest, like I think on the fadeaway, for instance, how many many entries are in the fadeaway? 31,372. A good 40% of those entries are from players that are entering 150 lineups. Like if we could even sort, I think we could sort by this. So let's count, right? I just want to show you. I want to show you the difference. There's a concept. Okay. So we got 31,372 entries. Okay. So if we go, I just sorted it by rosters. So we got 1, 2, how much screen is this? 1 to 100. Okay. So if we get all the way down here, okay. We don't get up to 100. I mean, we get some that have 120 entries, 110 entries. They're still good players, right? Like Crafty Lefty, Abalone ads, right? They're still good players. Hog Lawrence has 70, Cheese has 70, so they're still good players. How many 150 maxes? So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You got up to Utica at 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. So what's 65 times 150? 9750. Okay. So how many entries are in this contest? You got 9750 divided by 31,372, which is 31% of the entries, right? 0.3107. Okay. So 31% of the entries into this fadeaway contest yesterday were made up of entries from users that play 150 lineups. Okay. Now, the amount of users that play 150 lineups typically doesn't change that dramatically, right? Depending on from day to day. Maybe today in the fadeaway there's 62 of them. Maybe there's 71, right? Maybe there's 50, 58. It's not going to change that much. But the contest size may change. Let's say this was a $5 contest, right? Let's say this was a $5 contest, and instead of 31,000 entries, there were 90,000 entries. Well, if we have the same amount of 150 maxers, that only now makes up 10.8% of the number of entries in the contest. Even if you increase the number of 150 maxers to, let's say, up to 80 or 90, that still represents a much smaller percentage of the overall field. This is assuming that players that typically enter 150 lineups tend to be better players, right? So their 150th lineup is probably much better than a lot of random person's one line or two lineups. So that's why when the entry fees go down and the field size gets bigger, there's more likely to be bad lineups in that contest. Okay? Which means, yes, it's harder to win first place. Yeah, there's a lot more people, a lot more entries you got to beat. But the percentage of great entries, great players, goes down because the field size is bigger. So that's why on days where FanDuel has $3.33, 150 max, or when Draftkings sometimes $6, whatever the hell, whatever they call it, type of thing, return to million or the return to the court or whatever the name they get. I'm much more likely to play those. And now I'm entering 100. Now, of course, now I'm becoming an 150 maxer. But the percentage of lineups in the contest made by the expert of expert players has gone down, which gives my floor, which raises the floor of my overall portfolio, because my lineups aren't going to be bad. So on a $3 contest on Draftkings, it's $3.33. So the max enter, that's $499.50. So about $500. So the floor has raised. So a lot of days, even if I don't come close to first place, I'm going to put in about 500 and get back like $380, $415, right? Even if I miss on a ton of things, only because there's so many more bad lineups in that contest, as opposed to the fadeaway with 30 to 32%, 33%, third of the lineups are made by pretty damn good players. That if I were to do 150 lineups into the $15, which is $27.50, right? There'll be a lot of days that I get back 1,500, right? I get back 1,000, something like that, which is a lot lower return on the bad days, because my floor isn't as high. But on FanDuel or on the smaller, if you play like on the NFL, they always have that 20 max, like $3, 150,000 entries, whatever type of contest, the play action, which is one of the hardest, maybe the hardest contest to win on DraftKings. Harder than the Millie Maker. It's 100,000 at first, but it's only a $3 entry, 20 max. The floor of those lineups are extremely high. A lot of times you could play 20 essentially cash lineups into that contest and have a better shot at getting a 1.5x minimum payout than doubling up in double ups, right? Because just the core floor of 50% of the lineups in the contest are pretty bad. But that's the reason behind it. It always comes down to people want to play these smaller field contests because it feels like they're easier to win. I only have to beat 400 people, but you're playing against the best of the best. And the amount of people, if we take a look at, let's say, the alley-oop, right? 555 alley-oop, which is what? You could play it's a 4 max, I think. I mean, if you take a look at who's in here, the players that are in here, the percentage of the field that are really good players could be like 80 and 90% of the field. Could be really good players. And you get what percentage of the field are really bad players? 0 to 2%? May not be any really bad players. But in the large field contest, you could find 5 to 10% of the lineups in large field contests to be like essentially flushing money down the toilet, right? And the rake is 15% as it is. So if you can get 5 to 10% of people that are essentially flushing money down the toilet, it's a rake reduction, right? And then the next 5 to 10% of people are building lineups that have absurdly low chance of winning, right? Not horrific, but pretty. All of your lineups beat their lineups in expected value, like all of them, like all 150 you make, anything that you make. So if that next 5 or 10%, essentially the rake is paid. Now it just comes down to realizing your expected value, which is tough because they're large field contests. So it's a matter of surviving and managing your bankroll enough to get the day that you do win. And the day that you do win makes up for all the days that you lost for a year or two. And then on top of it, you have an extra 70,000 in profit. So people get disillusioned when they play DFS. They go, okay, how come I'm not winning every day? It's like, well, and GPP is only like the top 22% of the field cash to begin with, right? So you're gonna lose 4 out of 5 days regardless, even if everyone was equally skilled. So actually, the more that you lose, right? You don't want to min cash every day because you're going to lose money doing that. You're going to bleed money doing that. So if you go 4 out of 5 days and the one day that you win is a min cash, well, that's not going to make up for the 4 days that you lose. So you want to have your winning days. Try to get the highest that you possibly can in the position. But in these large field contests, that may only happen 2 or 3 times a year. So play well and make it count, and don't waste your bankroll chasing other things, overcompensating when your goal is to just survive. Derek, he says someone won $1 million yesterday. Yeah, they had the $2,500 million on DraftKings yesterday. So what's going on today? As usual, going over today's slate. What does it matter? Right? As of this point, 11 o'clock. We did this yesterday. It wouldn't have mattered. Right? We wouldn't have even known what Booker was even out during this show yesterday. I don't believe. But we have Jaylen Brown out. Okay, we got that. We know that. LeBron James is questionable. I'm assuming he's playing. Then we still got we got the Raptors guy, right? We got OG and FEV. What's happening with them? We got Trae Young questionable. I don't think anyone else matters. Right? These guys don't. Doug McDermott, does Doug McDermott matter that much? Does Avery Bradley matter? I have no idea. Probably not. But the Toronto game is a 7:30 game. Okay, so we should know about that pretty early. So we got a 7:30. We got 3 7:30 games, 2 8:30 games, and a 10 o'clock. Okay. I don't mind this night. Because pretty much by 8:30, everything will be done. I don't expect much you only got 1 10 o'clock game to worry about, so I do not mind. I'll play my 150 on FanDuel. Seems like the pricing has gotten a bit softer on FanDuel as well. Right? Some of these guys, like Reggie Jackson, got cheaper. I'm saying Murray, Tatum. Obviously, Tatum is going to be one of the most popular players on the slate. Marcus Smart. I mean, with Jaylen Brown out, that opens up a lot of usage. This Boston-Memphis game, actually a close spread. San Antonio is a 123 total. That's probably pumping Dejounte Murray up a bit. I don't know. I just like taking a first look. I mean, I'm not going to even build my lineups until 6:30? 6:30 Eastern? Is there a point in spending the entire day looking at stuff that may change? Right? Just build the lineups when you get the information. That's why we have projections. We have a team. We have a team of experts that do this. Right? We got Noto. We got Andy Means. We got the Bob Reeves. We got Alan Lem. We got SBK. We got Tuttle. We got Jamino. They're always behind yelling and stuff in our Slack. Changing projections, minutes, usage, everything. Injury news happens. They're on the ball. Everything gets updated in the numbers. So if you subscribe to RotoGrinders, rotogrinders.com/premium, click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. Everything gets reflected in these numbers. How much time do you need to play DFS well? Well, we do most of the work for you, right? Show up at about a half an hour before lock and build your lineups. That's it. That's it. People try to reinvent the wheel. You don't. Pretty much all the work is done for you. Just take the numbers and make lineups for the contest that you're playing with the appropriate projection and ownership that you think, and then build the lineups. And there you go. All you're doing is trying to put numbers together better than other people. That's it. That's it. And then obviously reacting after lock when the numbers change because someone's in and someone's out. Right? A starting lineup is different. Oh, this guy may get an extra 3 minutes. Oh, well, that's going to change things a little, maybe a lot. Most of the work is done for you. The biggest edge now is the people that actually utilize the numbers and the people that look at the numbers and then still don't do it. Right? To me, that's the biggest edge. right? It's the best of both worlds. You're sitting here, you're like, oh, I'm gonna consume some content. I'm gonna learn from Mr. Jordan Cooper about game theory and stuff, right? I'm gonna do all that. I'm gonna subscribe to RotoGrinders. I'm gonna look at this stuff and then decide to not use it. Like, thank you. Thank you. Right. I'm going to take your course, right? I'm going to go to theoryofdfs.com, get the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. How to think like a professional DFS player. It'll teach you all the game theory and all the mathematical concepts for any sport for you to use, right? So you pay me, right, for a 15-hour course. And then what ends up happening is that you don't even use it. The best of both worlds for me, right? Because I'm getting money off of you, and then you're still choosing not to do it. That's what 95% of people do. So someone like Max Hankin, I mean, all he's doing is using the projections, right? With $100,000, right? I mean, that's what I do, right? I've won 100K in NBA. I've won 50K twice in NBA. Multiple other, 10K, 15K stuff in NBA. I don't even watch basketball. Right? I just use the numbers. And not even on 150 entries, right? And tonight I'll play 150 entries. It'll be whatever. But on the nights that I play 10 entries, that's when I win a ton. Right? When I won 100K, I did it on 4 entries. 50 to 50K, I think I did it on that 40 to 50. 100K on 4 entries that I hand built using projection. Just survive long enough to get it there and use the numbers. Don't go, I'm not going to play this guy, even though he projects well. I'm going to play a guy that projects poorly because for some reason I think it's Ayu DeSunmo day. I'm just going to play Ayu DeSunmo, even though his salary adjusted value is -5. And then I'm going to top that by also playing Luke Kennard for no reason. I mean, like, that's what people do. Instead of just looking at the numbers and go, oh, over the long run, this projection model is going to be way more accurate than my brain and my biases and everything, and be able to weigh variables in my head. So let me just use this. Ken Man says Tatum's birthday today. He's going off. Well, also, Tatum's also like with Jaylen Brown out, Tatum's going to be like a 38% usage player or something like that. I don't think it has anything to do with his birthday. I don't think Jaylen Brown twisted his ankle for Jason Tatum's birthday. I don't think so. So we got anything else in the YouTube chat? My voice is like 50-50 right now. We went over yesterday's slate. Take a little look see at today's. Answered some questions. Type in the YouTube chat. Some of these shows are just short. So what else are we going to talk about? Especially when my voice, I feel it. I feel it. It's there. If you were earlier in the week, like when a good thing James was on Monday, like after about 2 or 3 minutes, my voice just died. Tuesday was iffy. I was able to go like 40 minutes. But that's why I got my water here. I got my everything here. So if you want to talk about anything in the YouTube chat, feel free to do so. Or forever hold your peace. We had a great Zoom call the other day. I do Zoom calls, private coaching in the RotoGrinders Discord. Our next session is next Thursday, the 10th. So if you sign up for RotoGrinders Premium, you get access to that. I do private coaching in a group setting. It's like a small group on Zoom, and people one by one. We go over their own results, whatever it is. We don't record them or anything. That's part of the value add you get for being a RotoGrinder subscriber. The next one is the next Thursday night. And typically, we shift them around. Sometimes on Wednesday, sometimes on weekends, sometimes on afternoons. And when we do them at night, it's typically after lock. So like next Thursday at like 8. It's typically Tuesdays and Thursdays for NBA because there's not as many games. So like by 8 o'clock or by 8:30, like pretty much all the games have been locked. So so we don't have to worry about like, oh, I got to change a million things. CGS, how do you determine how much you want of a player? I understand following the model, but if you don't make edits, you get 100% of some players. You're just building lineups. How do you determine whatever amount of diversification how much? That's a risk question. And that there's no player here currently that is worth having 100%. Can you make a plus EV lineup without that player? If the answer is yes, then you don't need 100% of that player. There are some slates in NBA that it's tough to make a good lineup without a player, right? We get situations where 7 people are out and one guy projects for 700 points more than anyone else. And it's like, well, for me to not have that player, I have to sacrifice 7 million points, even though I'm getting 90 percentage points in ownership. It may not ever be worth it to do that. People focus on exposures too much and not lineups. Okay. Like, let me show you an example. Let me show you an example. Okay. We have right here. I'm going to build 150 lineups, right? I'm going to be diversified enough. I'll have 3 uniques, right? Let me spend at least what doesn't matter. 59,000 doesn't matter. 59.5 is that doesn't matter what the salary floor is, right? Okay. If I use no randomness, no nothing, right? No running exposures, no whatever. I just want 150 lineups and a 2v2 difference. Let's build 20 just for time purposes. Okay. I'm going to build 20 lineups. Now these 20 lineups have no cap on it. Okay. Which means this first lineup essentially is the highest projected lineup based on our current projections. 324.97. Right? This is 324.68. 324, right? Like these are cash type lineups. These aren't necessarily large field GPP lineups. They're too high owned. Okay. But if you just played these top 20, you play 95% Jason Tatum. Well, do I want to play 95%? No, I just want to play good lineups. So maybe I look down here and I go, I don't mind sacrificing points for ownership, right? So we look 297 ownership. So let's just say I'm making up a number that I want to play lineups with an ownership sum of 220. Like I said, I'm making up a number for the sake of an example. 220. Okay. Which means my projection's obviously going to go down. How far down? Let's see. So let's take a look at this build. Okay. So 218, 314 is the top line. So you're giving up about 10 points of projection. If you're playing large field GPPs, maybe giving up 10 points is fine. So let's just say it is. Okay. You're still getting 17 out of 20 liners with Jason Tatum. 70% with Jakob Poeltl. There's probably a lot more lineups. He's like 314, 314, 313. So let's build 50 lineups with that type of ownership. With at least a 2v2. And let's just say we're calling these good lineups, plus EV lineups. Let's just say. Like I said, I don't know. Getting a lot of Luka, Tatum, Siakam, Vincent. Can you find other lineups here? Like, let's say here are your 50 lineups, but you're only going to play 10 of them. Okay? So you could choose whatever. Let's say you say out of all these 50 lineups are about equal to each other. We'll just say. They all have the requisite amount of projection versus ownership. So all 50 are equal. Now, obviously, a lot of them have Luka in it. A lot of them have Tatum in it. But you can choose ones that don't, right? We go through here. We go, which ones don't have Luka? We could save those. Let's say we don't have ones that don't have Luka. Right, here's one without Luka, right? There's okay. All right, I need to see where he is. Okay. Here's one without Luka. Here's one without Luka. Here's one without Luka. Here's one with him. Here's one with him. Here's one with him. Now let's take a look at ones that don't have Tatum in. Okay. Tatum here. So we got 8 lineups without Tatum. So let's see if we could find them. There's no way to sort by a not function. This doesn't have Tatum. Okay. There. There's a Tatum. Right, most of them will. Yeah, okay, here we go. There's a Tatum down there. Here's one without. Okay. Choose that one. Is this a non-Tatum lineup? Yeah, this is a non-Tatum. The ones that don't have Tatum typically have Luka in it. There's a Tatum. There's one without Tatum. Okay, got that. Here's another one. This one, okay. There's one without Tatum. Let's see. Tatum. Here's one. Okay, here's another one. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm not saying you should pick out the ones that don't have him in it. Here's one with Luka and no Tatum. Let's see. If we go under the assumption that all of these 50 lineups, from an expected value perspective, is equal. I mean, if you were to only play 10 of them, whatever 10 you want to play would be fine. Right, here's one without Tatum. Right? You're only to play 10 of them. I saved 12. Okay? So here's 12. Right? Let's get rid of 2 of them. Right? Pirtle is 92. One's without. Is there one without Pirtle? Let's see, Pirtle and Siakam. We get rid of that. Right. Get rid of that. Pirtle and Siakam. Is there a Pirtle? Okay, there we go. So let's say here are these 10 lineups. 9 of Siakam, 9 of Pirtle, 8 of Luka, 8 of DeAndre Hunter. I mean, where's Tatum here? 2 lineups with Tatum. Okay? So you can play these 10 lineups. If you're choosing between those 10 versus any other 10 in that set of 50. But you could also choose 10 and all 10 have Tatum in. You could choose all 10 that have Luka. The exposures don't matter. The lineups matter. You're viewing each of these lineups about equal to each other. So the question is, what 10 out of the 50 do you play? Whichever 10 you want. And if you want to be more diversified between the 10 that you play. Or choose not to. Say, I want to play all 10 Jason Tatum lineups. Because those lineups individually, the 9 players in those lineups, are plus EV. And you can find, look, we found lineups that didn't have Tatum, that were the same expected value. So the exposures do not matter. The exposures represent your risk tolerance and diversification, not your strategy. Yes, if you don't play a lot of Tatum, you're probably going to end up with Siakam. You're probably. Based on the numbers we have right now. So it's not a matter of how much of a player do I want. It's a matter of what lineups are plus EV, and I need X amount of them. I need 150 of them. Which 150 do I choose? Out of the 1,500 I can. Whichever 150 you want to choose. Peter Ortenberg asks, if you're staying true to your bankroll management, do you still play an MME tournament with only 40 lineups out of the max 150. Yeah, why not? That's what I mostly do. The max entry number doesn't matter to you. Every lineup is independent. I would highly suggest you pick up the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's amazing how these questions has been. I've answered them probably 374,000 times. You just have to essentially just watch and listen to content. Or you can get it all in one bunch. 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. How to think like a professional DFS player. People say that, oh, I wish there was content out there that taught me how to play. Well, there is. There's tons of it. The only thing you have to do, you got to watch it. You got to listen to it. It's available. It's all available to you. You get the answers to all of those questions. You will literally know everything I know. You will know everything that all the chart players know. You just have to listen to it, right? That's all you have to do. Imagine just taking the time to listen to stuff, to watch content. So the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, theoryofdfs.com, 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. Because you see my voice is given. That's probably because I've answered the same questions 178,000 times. To people that have access to watch all the shows, and they show up. And I don't know why. Why do I have to repeat things? I have no idea. It baffles me. So all these concepts I've talked about, if you go back to the first ever DFS pregame show, start from there and continue watching. You'll get like within 6 weeks worth of shows, probably. You'll probably sit there and bang your head against the wall. You go, why are people asking the same thing? Didn't he just answer this 4 days ago? And then you'll watch a week later and go, didn't he just answer this a week ago? Why is he explaining the same thing again? Didn't he answer that same thing 3 weeks ago? And then the same thing again 10 days later. And then you bang your head even more. Just like, I've heard that username before. The guy just asked the same question 3 times in 4 different weeks. Why didn't you just rewatch the show from yesterday? Flummoxes me as well. So go to theoryofdfs.com, pick that up, join our Discord. You can see my voice is going. My voice is done. My voice is done for the day. Join the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Join the Blenders Game Theory channel to be part of those private coaching calls. And hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. On your way out the door, hit the subscribe button. If you're new here, hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got Grants live lots later today. We got Grinders live going over this DFS slate. More closer to when we know what the hell's going on, right? Is Fred VanVleet going to play? Who knows? We'll see. And yeah, so we'll go over what happened on this slate tomorrow, and answer your DFS strategy questions as always on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.